G'day everyone and welcome back to another video here on the YouTube channel, and today I'm going to be going through my round 23 AFL tips and predictions, as well as reviewing round 22 and seeing which tips I got correct and which ones I got incorrect. Now if you guys do go on to enjoy today's video, as always, could you please show me that by liking the video as well as subscribing to the channel if you guys are new. Enough wasting your time, let's get straight into it. Now before we do get into today's tipping, I just want to quickly acknowledge the fact that I do have a tipping comp over on the ESPN app. The link to join is in the description below. We are coming a close on the end of the AFL season. You're not going to want to miss out on joining the competition, as you do receive a $100 cash prize if you do finish first place, as well as an external $30 prize for second place and $15 prize for third place. Currently in third place is DeConti 8, second place PJRM, and first place Ash Pies. I had a pretty good round of tipping last week though, after scoring a 7 out of 9. We had a few upsets occur over the weekend, so I think a 7 out of 9 is pretty good. But these are the tips that I got incorrect. Firstly, the first game of the round, I tipped my Pies to get up against the Hawks. I think that's a fair enough tip. I mean, the Pies have had a pretty good season, but they are in a bit of a slump now, losing 4 out of their last 5, so it's not a really good sign going to this week's game against Adelaide. And after being a side that wasn't even confirmed to finish inside the top 8, the Hawks, now they're looking to finish inside the top 4. And the second game that I got incorrect was Brisbane versus Sydney. I tipped the Lions to get over against the Sydney Swans, and it was at the Gabba, so you can't blame me. The Lions have been in a pretty good form, and you know, being a team that's in contention for the flag, you really wouldn't have thought they would have lost to the Swans. But the grand final rematch, the Swans finally getting some revenge, and it's good to see the Swans winning a game, being the underdogs. Brisbane had a huge fight late in the game, almost won the game, but unfortunately lost the game by 2 points. And now let's get into the main reason that you guys clicked on this video, being my tips for round 23. We don't have any Thursday games this week, so we're kicking it off on the Friday at 7:20 PM between the Essendon Bombers and the St Kilda Saints at Marvel Stadium. 15th place taking an 11th place. Both teams haven't been playing the greatest brand of football, although St Kilda Saints, after pulling off that crazy comeback against Melbourne just a few weeks ago, they're looking to be an alright side to finish off the season. I feel like that's typically what happens. It happened in 2024 as well. They had a pretty poor season throughout and then just finished off the season really strong, giving their fans hope heading into the next season. As for the Bombers, they've been pretty rubbish throughout the entire season and over the last few years as well. Although to be fair, the Bombers did put up quite a good fight against the Geelong Cats last week. I think they only lost the game by around 30 points, which sounds like a lot, but considering they were a team that was predicted to lose by about 100 points by most supporters, I guess they'll take the 30-point loss. Kept Jeremy Cameron pretty quiet. I mean, it's not often that you would consider 4 goals quiet, but for Jeremy Cameron, some people were thinking he was going to kick 10 tonight. So I think overall, the Essendon Bombers, they've been really impacted this year by injuries. And as for the Saints, I feel like their form of the last few weeks has been absolutely unreal. Nasai Wangari-Malira, he's going to be a potential Brownlow medalist within the next few years. I do rate the St Kilda forward line. I think they've got a lot of talent up there. Their defence could probably use a bit of work, but I think they'll do just fine against the Bombers, and I think the Saints will get up here by 25 points. We do have a double header on the Friday, and this is at Optus Stadium between Fremantle and the Brisbane Lions at 8:20 PM. This is going to be one of the better games of the year, I would think, and a really important game for both teams. Fremantle, they really want to progress higher and higher up on the ladder after finishing inside the top 4 by the end of round 22. They could potentially secure that top 4 spot. As for the Lions, they have dropped down to 5th place on the ladder, and is this a good sign for the Brisbane Lions or a bad sign to not finish inside the top 4? I mean, last year people weren't going to say the Lions were going to win the flag, as they finished outside the top 4, finishing 5th on the ladder at the end of 2024, and went on to win the flag. So maybe finishing outside the top 4 actually gives Lions fans a lot more hope. I think depending on what happens between this game, whoever loses this game probably misses out on the top 4. They're both guaranteed to make finals almost, but they need to win this game if they want to finish inside the top 4. Both teams, they've got stacked out midfielders. Obviously the Lions, Will Ashcroft, Brownlow medalist Lockie Neal, Hugh McCluggage has been an absolute star this season. Zorko down back's been really impactful. Logan Morris, what a game he's had last week, the week before, what a season he's had. He's going to be some huge up-and-coming talent. As for Fremantle, Sarong, Brayshaw, Patrick Voss, this has been a breakout season for him, and you really can't be disappointed with his effort. Jai Amos, I know he's had a bit of a rough patch, but I just do think that this is a must-win for Brisbane. Some people are starting to put them in the category of fraud watch and saying they might not have a chance going into this year's final series and going all the way, but I think the Lions are going to prove everyone wrong this week, getting an away win to their name. The Lions are going to get up here by 2 points, and Fremantle are going into this game as favourites, so for the Lions to get up here could be pretty huge. To kick off the Saturday at 12:35 PM, we've got the Gold Coast Suns taking on the GWS Giants at People's First Stadium. 6th place taking on 8th place. So the Giants, they have not yet locked in a top 8 spot, The Bulldogs are still a chance to sneak in. But if the Giants were to win this game, that would completely secure them a top 8 spot and pretty much secures everyone in the top 8. So besides Bulldogs fans, everyone's going to be rooting for the Giants to win this game. But with the Suns being at 6th place on the ladder, they're still a chance of making the top 4, so they're going to be wanting to win this game. Both teams probably have some of the best forwards in the competition. Obviously, the Suns have Ben Long, Ben King, 2 huge forwards for them. And with the Giants with captain Toby Green, Jesse Hogan, Jake Stringer. I believe Jesse Hogan's back this week, but I could be incorrect about that. Their midfields are huge, both of them. Obviously with Tom Green, Lockie Whitfield in the Giants midfield, and obviously for the Gold Coast Suns, Matt Rao, who I still think could be a sneaky chance of winning the Brownlow this year. He might poll a few 3 voters that some people might not expect him. He's just been really consistent throughout the entire year, and I wouldn't be shocked if he makes the top 5. And Anderson's been huge as well. He's probably up there for the Brownlow as well. Overall, I think the Suns will just get over the line. I'm going to go Suns to win this game by a goal. And it looks like this is playing out to be a huge round of football, as we've got the Carlton Blues taking on Port Adelaide at Marvel Stadium, and this is at 1:20 p.m. 14th place taking on 12th place. Carlton coming off a 19-point loss to the Gold Coast Suns last week. And you know, I'm going to give them the credit there. After only losing by just over 3 goals against a side that is almost guaranteed to finish inside the top 8, I'll give them credit, although it was at Marvel Stadium, and we know how poor the Gold Coast Suns play at Marvel Stadium, obviously losing to Richmond earlier in the year at that location. Port Adelaide, on the other hand, almost got the upper hand against Fremantle, only losing the game by 6 points, and that was also at the Adelaide Oval. So, yeah, Fremantle actually do have quite a good record away from home, and I think Fremantle could be the real deal going into this finals. Zach Butters had the 29 touches in the game against Freo. As for Patrick Cripps, he hasn't really performed as well as Carlton fans probably would have hoped for this year, but after pulling a 27 disposal game last week, I think Carlton fans are more than happy with him. Although Oliver Holland's got a sneaky 29, and I'll tell you what, I wouldn't have expected Evans to kick 4 goals. Carlton are going into this game as favourites, and I think that's fair enough, but I just think it's really hard to trust Carlton based on previous games, obviously losing to Richmond in the first round of the season. I feel like I'm always mentioning that, but after that game, you really can't trust them. Yes, they have improved since then, but I'm just not going to trust them going into this game against Port. And I think after only losing to Fremantle by 6 last week, they're gonna be sort of spewing, but I also think they'll go into this game with high confidence. I think Port Adelaide will get over the line by 3 goals. We now move over to the MCG at 4:15 p.m. This will be between the Hawthorn Hawks and the Melbourne Demons. The Hawks are coming off a 64-point win against the Collingwood Magpies. As for Melbourne, after almost beating the Western Bulldogs and ruining their finals chances, they just fell short and lost. But a few positives coming out of that 6-point loss. Bradley Fritsch kicked 2 goals 3. Yes, he didn't have the most accurate day at the park, but it seems that he's winning a lot of the ball. Petty and Malcolm also had 2 goals each. Clayton Oliver, he's had an absolutely outstanding season, and he got 27 disposals last week. Max Gawn got 42 hitouts and also had 3 contested marks, might I add. And his 5 clearances won't go unnoticed either. As for the Hawthorn game, Jack Gunston kicked 4 goals, Marbior Chol kicked 2. Somehow Jack Ginnivan went goalless, which is really surprising as he usually has his career best games against Collingwood. Lloyd May kicked 3 goals, and that's pretty huge. He hasn't really known for his goal kicking, and I think he's almost at 10 goals this season. Jai Newcombe racked up 28 disposals, and Carl Amon had 27. Lloyd Meek also had 32 hitouts, but he will get a proper test this week against Max Gawn. Nonetheless though, Hawthorn, they're 7th on the ladder. They can't afford to be dropping easy games like this, and I don't think they're even going to bother resting any of their older players, and I think Hawks will win this game. I'm going to go the Hawks to win it by 32 points. And now the real blockbuster match at 7:35 p.m. at the Adelaide Oval. We've got the Adelaide Trows taking on my Collingwood Magpies. Huge game for both teams. The Collingwood Magpies need to win this game if they want any hope at finishing inside the top 4. As for the Adelaide Crows, they're almost guaranteed to finish first on the ladder, but they just need to get this game to their name, a win to their name this week against Collingwood. If not, there's a good chance Geelong or even Collingwood, if they win this week, will jump ahead of them on the ladder. And there's not a lot of confidence going into this game for Adelaide after only just getting over the line against the West Coast Eagles, only winning that game by 9 points. Riley Thilthorpe kicked 3 goals, even though there was a bit of an injury concern about halfway through the game, but he should be just fine. He's not going to want to miss this week's game. Jordan Dawson, a potential Brownlow contender, had 26 disposals. Rory Lead also had 25. As for the Pies though, after losing to the Hawks by 64 points last week, there's little to no hope for them going into this week's game. Obviously losing Jeremy Howe 2 minutes into the game, obviously with that collision with Jai Newcombe, and with him probably being Collingwood's best defender, it's going to be a huge loss, especially against Adelaide. They've got those tall forwards, and Jeremy Howe we're going to need him to shut those players down, but obviously he'll be out for 2 weeks and likely to return against Melbourne, or maybe even first week of finals. Nick Dacos, he's been really on and off this year. Tim Bevery's starting to come out of his shell a bit more, and I think he's probably one of our most accurate set shots next to Jamie Elliott, who probably underperformed last week against Hawthorn. Even Darcy Cameron, after starting the season off very strong in the ruck, it seems like the last few weeks he's just been a bit quiet. Although Josh Dacos has an average of 27 disposals and Nick Dacos has 30. Sidebottom and Pendlebury are going to have to step up heavily for this game. And I generally think going into this game, our midfield's looking a lot stronger than what Adelaide's is. And I just think if we can constantly win out the middle against the Adelaide Crows, we should do just fine. I think our forwards are reliable enough. I think our key focus is shutting down Thilthorpe and Fogarty going into this game, and I think we should do just fine. I'm going to go the Pies to win this game in a close one. It's a must win for them. They always show up for these big games like these ones. I think the Pies are going to win this game. It's an absolute thriller. We're going to go Pies to win the game by 1 singular point. We now progress onto the Sunday at 1:10 p.m. and we go over to Ninja Stadium between the North Melbourne Kangaroos and the Richmond Tigers. Yes, that is right. 17th place taking on 16th place, and I think this could be an absolute blockbuster match. Who knows who's going to win this game? It could be quite a close game. I would personally say that both these teams are very similar in skill, obviously being right next to each other on the ladder, but let's not say that their skill is anything to be too proud of. I think North Melbourne's midfield is really, really impressive. Shees was an absolute gun. I can't really say there's too many positives for the Tigers at the moment. North Melbourne are coming off a 54-point loss against the GWS Giants. As for Richmond, only losing to St Kilda by 4 points. And I really don't know what happened there. I don't know how Richmond came this close to winning against the Saints. I just feel like the Saints are way better than the Tigers, and I think I actually predicted the Saints to win that game by around 30 points. And I just think the St Kilda Saints really just underestimated Richmond going into this game, just thinking it was an automatic win. And then when the Tigers actually put up a bit of a fight, they really did struggle to get over the line, but they still won St Kilda by 4 points. And with Ross from Richmond having 26 disposals. Darley and Trembeth kicked 3 goals against the Giants last week. Harry Sheasel had 31 possessions and Luke Parker had 29, which is what I mean. I just think North Melbourne are a lot stronger than the Tigers at this point in time, and North Melbourne will go ahead of them at the end of this week's round. I'm going to go North Melbourne to win this game by 7 points. At 3:15 p.m, we have 10th place taking on 2nd place at the SCG. This is the Sydney Swans taking on the Geelong Cats, and I honestly don't even want to give too much context to this game. The Cats could go to first place, which is why this win is so important for them. Now, obviously, if Adelaide win, then that's a whole different story. But obviously, Jeremy Cameron kicking 4 goals, 5 last week, could have kicked 9 if he was a bit more accurate, but still 4 goals is pretty impressive. Obviously with the small forwards and Stangle being one of the most reliable goal kickers in the competition. Sean O'Neill, what a game he had. I think this is his career best season from what I know of. Bailey Smith in the midfield, he's huge, but he's really 50-50 to be honest. He'll have the games where he gets 35 to 40 touches, or he'll have a game where he gets 20. The defense is really strong, Geelong, and I just don't see a world where they lose this week. I think Jeremy Cameron, he'll redeem himself after last week, kick 6 or 7 goals, and the Cats will get over the line here by 40 points. And to conclude this round of football, we have the Western Bulldogs versus the West Coast Eagles at Marvel Stadium at 4:40 p.m. There's been pretty much no improvement from the West Coast Eagles since they won that game against St Kilda. And the Bulldogs sitting at 9th place, they know that they need this win if they want to sneak into the top 8, with this being the second last round of the season. It's going to be really hard, and their only hope of making the top 8, the Bulldogs, if they win their last 2 games of the season and every other game goes their way. Which is why, without giving any reasoning, I am going to tip the Western Bulldogs to win this game. I'm going to go the Bulldogs. They tend to smash the poorer teams, such as West Coast, so that's why I'm going to tip the Western Bulldogs to win this game by 54 points. And I hope you all did enjoy today's video, and as always, if you did, could you please show me that by liking the video, as well as subscribing to the channel if you guys are new. Anyway, I'll see you all in the next bit of content that I post here on the channel.